If you've never heard of the four levels of value, then you're in for a treat. It's a treat in the sense of renewing your mind, to renew your mind financially and spiritually. As I've said before, I'm all about spreading God's word. It doesn't matter if it comes from me or someone else. My ego is not my ego is not big like that, which is why I'm happy to do a video on Myron Golden. He brings a biblical and spiritual concept about money and
It's
finance.
so much easier. If I had not become aware of how it actually works, I would be confused by what's happening in my life right now. Are y'all tracking? So I'm gonna go the four levels of value. This is in Genesis chapter 1 and 2. Life will pay you in direct proportion to the level of value you create. Now, here's where most people mess up. Most people mistakenly think that life will pay you according to the amount of value that you create. But if you create a large amount of value at a lower level, you're just going to be more broke and more tired. But you can produce less volume of value at a higher level and make way more money. Okay, what's the lowest level of value? The lowest level of value is implementation. By the way, the reason this is true is because wealth is spiritual in its essence. It is not materialistic in its essence. You've been taught your whole life. This is one of those erroneous things that we bought into. This is one of those lies that we believe that we protect because of where we got it from. We believe that thinking about wealth is too materialistic. But working hard for a little bit of money is way more materialistic than starting a business that serves more people. It's way more materialistic. I'll prove it to you in a minute. So, implementation level, this is the lowest level of value. The amount of money you're going to make when you're down here on this implementation level is going to be somewhere between minimum wage and maybe $80,000 a year. You're going to make minimum wage if you're making tacos at Taco Bell. You're going to be making $80,000 a year if you're working on a Rolls Royce or Mercedes or a Bentley or some high-level car and you're a mechanic. These are the resources you're using. You're using your muscles. Let me ask you a question about muscles. Are they a spiritual resource or physical? They're a physical resource. And you're using your muscles over time. Is time an unlimited resource or a limited resource? So we're using a physical resource times a limited resource, and we're seeking to produce an unlimited result. It's not possible. It's like attempting to turn water into oil or oil into water. They're different components. And so if you are at the implementation level, you are pretty much, it doesn't matter how hard you work down here. It's interesting. I just stayed at the Nobu Hotel in Atlanta last week, and we had 3 rooms. I don't remember how much it was. I was going to say how much it was a night, but I don't remember. Let's just say it was $370 a night. Okay? The hardest working people in that hotel are the housekeeping staff. The people who make the least amount of money in the hotel is the housekeeping staff. And I know you feel badly for them. So do I. That's why I give them tips, right? But you feel badly for them. And it's that's not fair. It doesn't matter if it's fair. Life ain't fair. But it's there. And the reason they make a little bit of money is because they're using their muscles over time. And it doesn't matter what you use your muscles over time to do, you are limiting the amount of money you can make. So you elevate. And you move up to the next level, which is unification. And in this level, you're going to make somewhere between $40,000 a year, $40,000 a year, and $250,000 a year. $40,000 if you're managing Taco Bell, $80,000 if you're a middle manager at Lockheed Martin or Boeing or one of those companies. And on this level, the resource you're using your management skills to make money. But you're actually performing a higher spiritual activity than doing the thing yourself. You're actually managing a bunch of people to produce the result. Well, managing people requires a higher level of spiritual acumen and social acumen and just patience and acumen in general than doing the thing yourself. How many of y'all tracking? Say I'm tracking. Okay. So wealth does not start to be created like wealth. I'm not talking 20,000 a month, 30,000 a month. I'm talking about like big money, big-ish. 50,000, 100,000, 200,000, 300,000 a month, $500,000 a month, $1 million a month, $3 million a month. That money starts to be made above the line. On the low end, really bottom low end, you're going to make 100,000 a year. High end, literally could make hundreds of millions of dollars a year. Hundreds of millions? Yes, hundreds of millions. On the low end, you might sell cars. On the high end, you might be an A-list actor, an A-list singer. Somewhere in the middle, you might be an author, or a salesperson, or a blogger, or a podcaster. Somewhere in the middle. And this level is called communication. And on this level, the resource we use our mouth to make money. Now here's what's amazing. It doesn't seem fair. You're going to make between 100,000 a year and 100 million a year using your mouth. Now, there's a caveat. You have to have a mouth. Here's the hard part. You must learn how to use it. And the only thing most people use their mouth for is to proclaim words that throw rocks on the path of their progress. So, this is where the fortunes start to be made. Wait a minute, Myron, are you telling me that a person who writes a book one time and sells a bunch of those books every month is going to make more than somebody who's out in Florida in the middle of the summer putting on a roof when it's 97 degrees outside in Tampa? Yes, a lot more.
You know, I wanted to bring up this point before he goes any further. And I know, I remember a lot of the jobs that I had been on, they had that phrase of work smarter, not harder. Well, here's your opportunity to work smarter and not harder. Here's your opportunity, but yet a lot of us, we say we want a change of a change of lifestyle, or change our way of thinking, or change the way we're doing things. A lot of us, we throw out so-called lip service, but then we don't do anything. Here's your opportunity. Learn from this, grow from it, and change the way you've been taught. In other words, we have to get rid of the junk that we've accumulated over so many years. I, for one, I'm having to constantly do that. Constantly get rid of the negative way of thinking, because we've all fed off one another in terms of, well, you're not going to be able to do this, you're not going to be able to do that. Going by past history, well, this didn't work, that didn't work. So it's an accumulation of negative vibes, negative thoughts, negative thinking. And what we're doing, we're regurgitating this over and over and over and over again. But what I'm saying is, here is a renewing of your mind. Here is a different thought process. Here is the reason why you're not making the money that you're making. So open up your ears, open up your heart, and begin to renew your mind, begin to think, and watch the change happen.
This is so crazy. I wrote this book in 2006. This book makes me between $5,000 and $12,000 a month every month. I haven't read it since 2007 probably. But I don't get paid when I read it. I get paid when I sell it. I wrote this book in 2021. 3 years ago this book came out. 3 years ago I wrote this book. Watch it. This book makes between $25,000 and $70,000 a month. I'm not writing the book. But I communicated a message on paper, and people keep saying, send it to me, send it to me, send it. If you send it to me, I'll send you some money. I said, okay, let me send it to you. Communication. What's the highest level? The highest level of value is imagination. On this level, we use our mind and our money as resources to make money. If you will decide today, do what today? Decide. Everybody do what? Decide. If you will decide today that you're going to start today, spending more time working above the dotted line than you do down. I'm not saying stop working below the dotted line, because if you do, they come in to turn your lights off. I'm not saying stop working below the dotted line. I'm just saying, like, make it a conscious decision to start working above the dotted line so that you can start doing stuff in your mind and with your mouth that can make you millions of dollars. Now, in order for us to do that, we have to understand the functions of the mind.
Do you know discovering Myron Golden has made me rethink a lot of things on how I do financially? And I've learned that God also has a ton of wealth for us, but it's not about our purpose, it's his purpose. And Myron has said this countless times. This video also explains why people are paid the way they are first and foremost. See, it falls in line with God and what he values. This world, the universe we live in, is the product of his imagination and also the product of his communication, because he communicated this world into existence. And this is why those in communication garner much more money than a school teacher. And people say, yes, it's not fair, but this world isn't fair. But think about it. Actors, entertainers, communicators, musicians all make more money than a person who uses their body physically to make a living, like a firefighter. And again, I have to say, life isn't fair. But when we realize this and realize the system that's in place before we were even born and will be in place long after we're gone, then we realize that we realize this and we begin to learn how to utilize it. Whether or not we have God-given talents in those areas and making that type of money, we have to learn to adapt. Whereas I'm not a singer, but I can write. And if you're not good at writing, you can be good at storytelling. You can write a book or have it transcribed for you. There are all kinds of ways. Now, if you want more in-depth coverage of the subject that you just heard, then you can look up his name, Myron Golden, and by all means, check out his videos. Enough said.